So we're all dog faces. We're all very, very different. But there is one thing that we all have in common. We're mutants. There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us. Something seriously wrong with us.
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
Alright, kids. Here we are at episode 63 of the Mean Geek. Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
63.
I'm your host, the Tech Jedi.
And I am not.
And the doofus over here chanting numbers for some bizarre-ass reason is the Reverend Mad Duck. Say hello, Reverend.
Bless you, fuckers.
There you go. Very good. Having established the year-end special,
It's the end of the year as we know it.
quick announcement. Going back to fencing Saturday morning.
You do love to stick it into things.
Yeah, I guess you could put it quite that way. The real point being, if there was going to be a sport that could be construed as geeky, it would be running around with swords. So,
Curling.
that's not geeky, that's dorky. That's just flat out doofus. Gonna run around with a big round brick and see how far we can get it in a shuffleboard type fashion. Oh, so it's dorks and old people in the cold. Great, that's fucking phenomenal. I don't know what Scandinavian nuthatch thought that one up, but you can count me out, Bubba. So, yeah, have been doing anything interesting lately, Rev?
No. No, God, no.
And nothing remotely geeky cool or...
Absolutely not.
You know, I try and I try and I try and
I
I
have
try and I
have
try.
a lifestyle choice, which is I do very little. I stand by that choice.
Do you stand by Superman Batman 78?
Do I have to?
Well, you don't have to, but in an alternate world where Kal-El and Bruce knew each other as kids, do you think that would ever work?
No. No.
No.
No, I do not.
How about a couple of kids debating the entire issue about which character is cooler?
You know, this to me, my favorite Superman Batmans are the ones that have kind of a world's finest feel to it.
Uh-huh.
And this one totally has
Absolutely
that
does.
classic 70s.
Yep.
Let's play with a concept.
And I love how they pulled out the whole, if Batman's prepared, there's nothing he can't handle. It's very self-referential, very geek community referential. It totally happens. You've heard that argument a bajillion times, right?
Yep.
But this was fun. This is why I keep Superman Batman around, because for every one of those little stupid miniature storylines that have been done to death since, you know, The Incredible Shrinking Man, you get one of these really fun episodes, fun issues that just, you know, you go to town on and you just have a good time with. Right?
No,
You're
it's
reading
a fun,
while I'm trying to talk.
Never. No, it's occasionally a fun book, and occasionally it's a very frustrating book.
Right.
This fell under fun. I really enjoyed the end where Batman started to point out what the kid had right, except, and then use that to fuck with Superman. Now, since we have what do we have in the pile that's not Batman? Because we're primarily Batman based. So
Yeah, this is a huge Batman pile.
and I have a thought on Batman I want to share with you on the one thing that none of the movies has gotten right.
Oh?
Well,
Well,
so let's do our non-Batman aspect stuff first.
if I can find where the fuck I put him in this pile. Oh, yes, here we go. Wolverine, the best there is.
I'm the best at what I do, and what I do is not very nice. And what I do is make comic books.
This was a terrible fucking book.
Yes, it was.
Wolverine getting down in a club is not what I'm used to. There are points where you can throw a character into a situation you wouldn't normally think he would ever be in, and it ends up pretty cool. This is not fucking one of them.
I like how he ends up pit fighting for no good reason.
No good reason at all. No other reason than to show him throwing down. It's terrible.
No, it was not at all an enjoyable book, and I assume this is the last Wolverine I'll be seeing.
Yeah, this is not a book I'll be picking up number 2 of. Parental advisory, not for kids. Yeah, sure, there's some massive amount of violence in there.
Some cleavage.
And there's plenty of cleavage. But I don't ever need to see Wolverine in a studded collar crawling around like the Gimp again. Ever, ever, ever.
He was so wrong. So very, very wrong.
What the fuck are they thinking in this thing? And the art just barely makes it.
I'm the best there is at what I do. What I do? Submission bondage. Apparently,
terrible.
Wolverine is Norwegian for creepy. No, this is horrifyingly bad.
Who thought up this shit?
This actually felt closer to like when Garth Ennis' Punisher writes Wolverine as a superpowered jackass.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's pretty good right there. And, by the last page, I didn't even know why he was gonna... Why did he stab himself? I read through it. I was like, okay, something's going weird, and I guess he's got to bring pain to himself to bring him back to reality so he knows how to deal with it, but I like to see Wolverine stabbing other people, not himself.
I actually don't like to see Wolverine.
Not anymore. I mean, he used to be the shit. He really did. For a long time. There was nothing better than a good Wolverine story. But now we go into a book that we both totally enjoy thoroughly in all aspects at all times.
What do you got?
Atomic Robo.
Atomic Robo!
Deadly Art of Science, number 1.
See, now, this, and I'm going to pull the awesome card. It's so much more my element than yours, because now we're entering 30s vigilanteism.
I enjoyed the shit out of this.
No, I'm not denying that, but you know what? Which of us collects old Shadow books?
Right,
you want to get into my geek? This is, who found you old Doc Savages and the Avengers for your pop?
Yeah, that was you.
Yeah. This is my area. So I love this issue.
Now, this is an earlier adventure of his.
Yes.
Not
back
terribly
when he's in
long.
a wacky teen robot.
Yes, when he was a wacky teen robot, just digging on adventure. Going out, let's see what trouble we can get into. It's just adventure. It's good. It's fun. It's solid. These guys, I love Clevenger and Wegener and Pattison and Powell.
Oh, love.
So good. Tom Strong, Robots of Doom, 6 of 6.
Now, the problem here is that either I did not see 5 of 6.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You're certain?
Relatively certain. Either 4 or 5. Somewhere there's a missing one. I don't know a lot of what happened in here. But this was an enjoyable little non-more Tom Strong storyline.
I'm a big fan. But, it did end up a little... Really, Tom? Is that what you're going to do? Because he's like, all right there, Olga, or whatever the fuck her name is. At that point, she hadn't done anything to him directly, so he just kind of lets her go. And since it was a different timeline, and Albrecht hadn't had a chance to actually fuck anything up, he makes the point that, well, Albrecht hasn't really broken any laws, so I'm going to let him go too. What? No, Tom, what are you doing? You do know what this is all about, right? But then somehow he ends up in jail anyway.
Well, he is a superpowered Nazi douchebag. He's probably wanted for several things.
It took me a minute to realize that they actually changed timelines again. I had to reread the caption that said 2050.
It is definitely a little frustrating when time comes into it. But then we're notoriously anti-time change.
Yes, can't stand time changing. And then it just kind of meanders along until it's over. And that was it.
You know, I mean, the nice thing was the highlight for this book for me, other than Chris Sprous's art, which is, as always captivating.
Excellent.
Was Dr. Permafrost. Like, that was my favorite aspect of it. I'm still confused by Tom Strong's ghost brother, which never, got resolved in the slightest.
Yeah, they didn't touch that one. But we then move on to Knight Errant, the new Star Wars book, where the Jedi apprentice who has just made her knighthood
is left
desperate to make her mark
on a planet with two Sith Lord brothers who hate each other and a Jedi labor leader.
Yeah.
This...
All we need is a muckraker in the Star Wars universe. Isn't that fucking phenomenal?
This is why I like to speak out against Jedi books.
But I think I might hand you over the Empire and Rebellion trades. Because that's the era you're digging on. That's what you understand and know. The backstory and history of the Jedi aren't really your bag. You could care less of anything that happened before, You don't even care about the prequels, really, do you?
I care that they ruined major aspects of... I like 2.5 films.
I don't think they ruined anything. And here's my justification for that.
Misa, so curious.
If you sit down and you watch A New Hope,
okay,
and Phantom Menace is running through your head,
you got bigger problems.
You're not focusing on what's in front of you. You've let yourself become a little too wrapped up in all the extra shit that goes along with being a fan of anything. You're a Yankees guy.
Yes.
As far as I can tell, always have been.
Yep.
Hand you almost anything Yankees, you're appreciative of it. Alright?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is one poorly managed season going to make you run out to the Diamondbacks?
No, fair enough. But here's my thing. I see your point. Obviously, I still appreciate the films for what they are. But at the same time, the level of poorness that came out. All right? And here's my argument. Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Is a phenomenal, phenomenal movie.
It is.
When Ghostbusters 2 came out, no one talked about Ghostbusters for about 10 years. The stink coming off that film was enough to actually damage the first film for a decade.
But then it faded away.
Eventually, yes. And so slowly will the prequels. But there's no denying the fact that they had this suddenly... Being a Star Wars
was
fan
an impact.
Was never cool.
Uh-uh.
No, it was awesome to be one, but it was never like, hey, you're into Star Wars. But the cool thing about being a Star Wars fan is that they were everywhere, and they weren't always people you expected it to be.
Right.
Then the prequel, and then when the prequel started to come out, or when the re-releases, suddenly it was almost cool. Star Wars was fucking everywhere. There were toys that you'd never seen before, and you could afford.
Yeah, you could.
Because now you were an adult. Like, I want a Millennium Falcon. I'm buying a goddamn Millennium Falcon. Kids, find your own dinner. Shit had changed for the average Star Wars fan.
And the problem was that the majority of them didn't want anything to change. Now, forget the fact that we have to forget several things in the expanded universe because of those prequels. But like I said, if you're watching Empire and you see Vader stride into the Rebel base and you're no longer filled with awe because of no, then you should really just not bother anymore, because that moment when he strides in still has a little charge. It still just does a little tiny
it's still
up the
a
spine.
cool moment. But I'm not denying that Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and about half of Return of the Jedi are awesome. But what I am saying is that there's an impact. All right, and here's my argument specific for you. Clerks doesn't get watched half as often as it used to because of the recent Kevin Smith films. And you know what? You don't talk about them quite as much as you used to because of the recent Kevin Smith films. Is that bad examples of things affect the whole work?
They certainly can.
All right? Bad novelizations, bad comic books, bad movies, crappy toys, lasers that shoot you in the eye, freaking Wookiee Christmas specials, all of it.
Now imagine if the reception to this Christmas special had colored everybody's perception of Empire.
But here's the difference, is that the Christmas special was one tiny thing, whereas everything else at the time was awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
But with the prequels, you've got crap, followed by crap, followed by crap. And all the little side craps floating around trying to get a nudge in there to be the bigger crap. Like even some of the crap...
I think there's our title.
Even some of the
crap... A lot of little crap
games,
nudging in to be the big crap.
Horrifying. Horrifyingly bad.
I don't know. I desperately want to like the expanded stuff, but you got to be so picky and choosy. I do think that Rebellion will work for you.
Hey, I'll read anything. You know, I mean, the only good thing to come out of the Star Wars comic book, as far as I'm concerned, are some of the original Marvel ones and Tag and Bink.
Tag and Bink. Got to love fucking Tag and Bink. Now, here's a book that seems to be a bit late.
What's that?
Because it ain't shown up in a while. Scarlet #3. This wasn't the end, right? No, there's more to be coming. But you know what? Bendis. Now, this is cover dated November.
Yep.
And we all know that this stuff comes out 3 months before the cover date. So, October, September, August. I haven't seen another Scarlet on the shelves. I've been to several comic shops in those months. Haven't seen it. I think Bendis is overextending himself again.
You do always think that, though. Every time anything that Bendis does that you don't like, which is relatively often, the first thing you come out of your mouth is, he's overextending himself. Maybe he just wrote a shitty issue. Or maybe Scarlet is just, it could also be Malieve, who's not renowned for...
Yeah. He could be. This one picked up a bit. It's still very talky.
She talks a lot. She shoots cops. I'm still intrigued by it. I'm still not dying for the next one.
But it's good enough. I'll grab 4 if and when it shows up, because one of the big things I really enjoy is people who were thinking they're going to get away with shit and then being taken down. I'm always happy reading a scene where somebody thinks they're the big man, thinks they're hardcore, thinks they're untouchable, and then gets their ass handed to them. I enjoy that.
Of course you do.
Don't you?
Nah.
So, iZombie is still not growing on you?
Not particularly. I mean, what is... Now she's eating her mom's brain? What the fuck?
I was a little bit surprised by that.
The vampire chicks, now one of them's... nothing is occurring in this book. Just more weird shit is piling on top of more weird shit.
Well, I mean, isn't that any given Morrison book?
You hate all of those. So why do you like this?
I don't know. I mean...
Is it because it frustrates me?
No. It's weird in a weird sense. It's not weird in a, what the fuck color acid were you dropping when you wrote this sentence?
See, no, yes it is.
This stuff, no, not just yet.
Dude, yeah, Were-Terriers?
Were-Terriers is odd.
Alright, the mod quirky. 60s Ghost, it's all weird. The only difference, and this is a huge point that you need to think about,
yeah,
is that you like it. That's really what it comes down to, is you're so prejudging of Morrison.
I am not prejudging Morrison. I've read a lot of fucking Morrison.
Hate all of it.
Not all of it. I told you again and again and again, I like this JLA shit.
Okay. Tell me a storyline.
In the JLA? It was 10 fucking years ago.
Exactly.
Well, if I reread it, you think that I would be have colored perceptions and not be able to judge it properly anymore?
I can tell you about Aztec, which I loved. I can tell you about the first storyline with the white Martians and how that got resolved. I remember these things because I like them. You, on the other hand, do not like them. You may claim, God, I totally enjoyed that. Or the second storyline with the key. Tell me, Miss Montypenny, how do you feel about Grant Morrison and martinis?
I see the beer is kicked in.
But the fact of the matter is that this is as quirky and weird as that. Not less so, and not differently so, but there's something about this book, probably the word zombie, if we call a spade, that you like. And so you're forgiving of all the other strange, pointless shit.
But I can follow what's happening in this book.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
What's going on?
Well, we haven't been told her origin yet.
Right.
So that's out the window. You forget about that.
All right, let me ask you some questions.
What?
Then. All right, rather than have you explain the book to me, I'm going to ask you some questions. What's up with her mentor dude? The older guy in the house.
We're still determining that.
Okay. What's up with the 60s mod ghost?
She can't.
Where's she come from?
She can't leave the graveyard because that's the rule.
But she does because she goes to the diner all the time.
She can't leave too far from the graveyard.
Too far from the graveyard.
Because that's the rules of ghosts in this book.
Why does a were-terrier have a dead uncle, a grandfather who lives in a monkey?
He just got reincarnated into
as a monkey. Why?
Because there's reincarnation in this universe.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he could just as easily been a cockroach.
Who's the evil chick who just took the dead vampire chick as her sidekick?
It's an evil chick. What do you want?
You see, you're not clearing it. You don't understand squat. Because nothing has been resolved whatsoever.
No, I didn't say it was resolved. Never said it was resolved.
No, literally nothing is happening in this book. They're just throwing more weird shit. Next time, there's going to be a guy who sees out of his butt.
That's not going to happen.
You sure?
I will bet you right now.
But you're not sure.
I'm thinking the likelihood is low enough that we don't have to worry about
it. But you're not sure.
See, when they say a sentence in this book, I understand why they've said it.
So it's the dialogue primarily.
That's a good portion of it. You know?
Because it's no,
Morrison's
if you really
dialogue,
break it down,
on the
it's
other
no
hand,
other than the invisible.
Since you seem to be hung up on the whole Morrison thing.
You brought up the analogy.
I needed a jump.
Yeah.
I needed a quirky...
And you wanted to jump on Morrison's corpse for the 4,000th time.
I needed a strange...
I hate you, you Scottish bastard! You got problems.
That's the greatest thing I've ever written!
This is no weirder than anything Morrison has done, except for... it's as weird as anything, except The Invisibles, which is the strangest fucking thing known to man. What else we got?
You know what? I think we played that one out.
It's been played.
Are we behind on an Irredeemable? I think we might have done this one before.
It's just, the aliens are still in his brain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this. Aliens are in his brain. It's a whole key situation. He's going to break up, beat up some aliens. The superheroes are becoming the villains. We will control the world. Where is my brother?
Yeah, we did cover that one. New Avengers 6.
We did that. No. Brother Voodoo is no more.
Did we? Yeah, one of the Avengers will die. How come we still have these books here?
You leave shit all the time.
Right. Victorian Undead, we covered.
Yep.
God damn. Avengers Prime. More Asgardian...
Hoopla.
Not really greatness.
But, you know, it's... Night Elves! We're all heroes in another world. Tony Stark is useless when his armor doesn't turn on. You know. Drink your way out of this, Tony Suck-Ass.
Tony Suck-Ass.
And there's your title.
Drink your way out of this, Tony Suck-Ass.
American Vampire we hit with the father thing. Yeah, this is definitely stuff you left behind.
Well, crap on a stick.
No. And ow. And still no. Plus, can you really aim that well?
No, the implication being there is crap already on a stick.
Well, keep that stick away from me, please.
You think I would bring a stick covered in crap into your house?
Actually, knowing you as long as I have, it is one of my top 10 fears.
Top 10?
Yeah.
What's number 9?
You fucking my outlets.
Outlets?
Yes.
I don't want to be electrocuted.
I'm not saying they're reasonable. I'm saying they're my top 10 fears of things you might do.
Number 8? Jack off on your couch?
No. I accept that as a given. Actually, 8 involves you dressing up as my kitchen table and lying in wait.
Alright, that is a wholly unreasonable fear.
Really? Because fucking my outlets was reasonable?
No, that was not reasonable either. It's just getting more and more bizarre as you move on.
What, you have... what? How? Nothing about fear is reasonable.
There's plenty of reasonable stuff about fear.
Oh, yeah?
Very large spiders can hurt you very, very badly.
Actually, most large spiders are the least deadly.
I didn't say kill you. I said
said
hurt you badly.
How? What,
They have venom.
Like they're like 8 feet tall and fall on you.
They crawl around on the ground. You know how much bacteria are on them fangs? They bite your ass. They may not kill you from the venom, but that shit may get infected.
Okay, spider pussy.
That's not good. What?
Spider pussy.
You know what? Screw you.
That's what I'm calling you from here on out.
No, you're done with that right now. You're over.
Oh.
Number 7?
Is when you turn into spider pussy. All right. Da-na-na.
Is that like an American Werewolf transformation?
No, actually, it's going more for a Peter Parker thing, but let's move. All right.
6?
I'm not doing the entire list.
You don't have an entire list. That's why.
I will. I haven't collated all my fears of you yet. The outlet thing really does bother me, though.
I would never... What? That doesn't make any sense. Look, I know you don't know this, and you're going to have to trust me.
Okay.
I'm not small enough to fit into an outlet.
That's not what I've heard.
Oh. Not going to go for that joke.
Oh.
Batman and Robin 16 and 17.
All right, we have the end of the pig saga.
Yes, where Barbatos returns. Very, very, very strange.
So the whole ending of this storyline is that Bruce Wayne's missing relative
Yeah.
shows up and turns out to be a serious douchebag
Right.
who hangs out with psychotic pigs
Right.
and then gets beaten up by the Joker by slipping on a banana peel.
Right. And that's the essence of Morrison goodness.
But no weirder than iZombie. And then we have the next issue where we prove
Where we
that a new writer,
change writers.
but can be just as weird.
It's now Paul Cornell. Well, there's still Aftermath to deal with. But they don't really deal with that.
Yeah.
They jump straight in to Robin kicking some ass and dealing with Una Nemo's death and apparent resurrection from the empty grave.
Yeah, what the fuck was that about? And then there's the weird religious ceremony and the chick with no head, or sorry, a giant hole in the head.
Which is all explained in 18. Really fucking silly.
Super.
Incredibly silly. You'll see that. It's in this week's homework. But they've got a little room to breathe now.
Alright.
A little bit. Not a whole lot. They're getting there. They're making up new characters. The problem is, I'm hoping that they close the books on some of these new characters. Because if there's anybody on the planet who has enough history to go back to and find new stories for, it's goddamn Batman.
You know what? No. I mean, I know what you're saying, but every now and then you got to bring new blood into it.
You know what? They haven't had Hugo Strange in 15 years.
No, there's definitely villains they could revisit. And, unfortunately, they keep killing off all the cool ones. But the fact of the matter is that you have to, everybody wants to bring their own take. You don't just want to write a great Joker story. You want to add your own villain to the mix. Like, if you had a chance to write Batman and you were in any way creative,
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
All right, but would you want to just do well with everybody?
I am a great big douche.
See, if you were creative, that song would have been funny.
You giggled.
I laugh at everything. But would you just want to do a decent Clayface story, a decent this, a decent that, or would you want to put your own guy in there who's going to be fighting Batman 50 years from now? It goes back to what we were talking about before.
Yeah, we did cover that part.
To me, everybody wants to... And yeah, some of them are going to suck, and some of them are going to be randoms to try, like Firefly and Mockingbird.
Mockingbird.
And sadly, despite being awesome, Scarface...
Nothing wrong with Scarface.
He's gone. He's dead.
I know.
Can't write no more.
There was a small comeback. But you know what? Did I cover this? I got a disgusting number of 2000 to 2007 Detective Comics that I didn't have. I just, if I didn't recognize the cover, I snagged it.
So you got a couple that you did have then.
Well, sure.
Covers being the way they are.
Anywhere from $0.25 to $1 to $2. I grabbed a stack like 6 inches tall. It was almost all crime. There was almost no flat-out supervillains.
Well, weren't they trying to do that for a while, where Detective was more of a straight...
Yeah. And I enjoyed the ever-living fuck out of those. Those were really good issues, for the most part. There's a couple stinkers, because we're talking about, 5.5 years there.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen.
Sure.
But do that. Go back to that. Try again. Bring Detective back to the detective shit. Leave Batman and Robin with the oddball stuff with Damian and Dick. Let Bruce deal with the classic villains and the occasional new one. That's not a bad plan.
No, I like that plan, actually. But no, there's definitely some stuff out there that can be played. The thing is, though, occasionally, like bringing Hush into play, or the Red Hood, newer...
yeah, but both of those had gravitas to them. They had some heavy weight behind them. And strictly speaking...
So did Prometheus, but Morrison created him and rolled him out there.
Yeah. Strictly speaking, they came from Batman's unrevealed backstory.
Well, in the case of the Red Hood, revealed and then changed up dramatically.
Right.
Which is where you were going.
So, you can go with that. You can roughly say that, they're new characters. Before Hush, nobody knew about Tommy.
Yeah.
So he was new.
Hush was a new character.
Yeah. So... yeah,
the Red Hood was a way of taking an old character that had been returned,
right,
and tweaking it to make it interesting.
Sure. But yeah.
And then you've got Flamingo, the gay assassin.
Blah.
But there's always, there's always going to be
the assassin formerly known as Fag.
Hey.
All right, but speaking of new and potentially game. Ugh, I don't like that phrase either. People need to stop saying game changing.
No, okay.
Big important things happening. Batman Incorporated, #1.
This is a horrifyingly bad concept.
I was right there with you. Yep, absolutely.
Why are you saying that in the past tense?
The idea is mildly starting to grow on me.
No, really.
Now that I've read issue 2. I said mildly. I'm still not enthralled with it. I think Batman is too personal a character overall through his entire history to go running around and pulling a Kingdom Come by just kicking back and let everybody else do all the work around the globe.
Well, it doesn't even work with the basic tenet of the character. Here's a guy who doesn't want anyone else to get hurt, so he takes all the pain unto himself. Now he's going to go recruit a bunch of other people to live his shitty life that he hates.
Which, unfortunately, is not as true, if you think about it, as we might like to believe.
Wait a minute.
Because he's had how many Robins now?
Yeah, but he always makes
Oracle, Huntress.
Well, Huntress was not his fault.
And he never really liked her either.
Yeah, he like she could be the most deadly of us all. Whatever. They always try to build the Huntress up like the ultimate badass. It's a chick in purple who's mentally ill.
For a guy who's supposed to be so personal and insular, he's got a lot of hangers on, man.
Right, but he doesn't recruit them.
Not actively, no.
No, never. That's always been the point, is that these people come into his life, he recognizes talent. Now he's going out and actively recruiting, which is a huge change. And the number of people in his world is already ridiculously large to begin with.
Yeah.
To monumentally, stupidly so. Secondly, Batman only outside his book has ever been about world crime.
World crime.
Yeah, in JLA.
Oh, yeah, large scale.
Right. Batman, in his own book, likes Gotham.
He does.
He wants to save his city. Yes, he doesn't want crime to happen anywhere, but you know what? He isn't going around flying to Newark
Newark.
to beat up dealers there, all right? This is just mentally ill. And secondly, this feels like some sort of new blood freaking annuals thing where there's going to be a bunch of crappy heroes that are slowly going to get slaughtered off.
Yeah. I'm leaning toward that.
It's going to
agree with that.
Suck monkey butt by the end of this. Does anyone really think there's going to be 42 Batmans 5 years from now?
I really don't. Here's my prediction. Within 36 issues, this thing is not only dead, but reversed. As soon as Morrison gets tired of it, they're going to give it to another guy. He's either going to not live up to what everybody thinks Morrison was so great at doing.
Well, you are intrigued. So far he has been great at it because
it's two fucking issues.
If there's anybody who you would have thought would still hate it by issue 2, it would be you.
I was doing fine with 2 issues of Batman and Robin as well.
No, you weren't.
Well, except for Pig.
You were worried from issue 1. You're like, oh, this may be the first Batman #1 I don't like. We have it on tape. We can go back.
Although, Catwoman running around in her...
Fictional character,
There's
dude.
nothing I like better than watching you facepalm.
Fictional character.
I want to think that it has potential.
Okay.
I want to be optimistic about
I
it.
want to think that it's Euro hit. And I keep bringing that up because that's the level I think this is going to be. When the British Punisher was out there,
Euro hit.
That's what I think it is. Times 7.
The 3 Bruce Wayne The Road Homes that I bothered getting because it was a slow week and I was bored.
Okay, here's my first thing. First off, you're missing one.
Yeah.
The Oracle one, I think.
I didn't care about it.
All right.
I was like, 3 is enough of this shit. I didn't plan on getting these to begin with.
But it was a slow week. Here's my second point. If you're going to do a bunch of one-shots,
yeah,
and they should be read in order to fully follow it,
yeah,
you should
make
not
that
skip clear. No, not even because you wouldn't have skipped one if you'd known that.
Yeah.
You would have been annoyed, but you would have bought all 4.
Right.
All right? Then you can make that, but you can loosely follow each story. What the fuck ever? Plus, the events in one effect. So if you happen to pick up one, like I did, about, say, Commissioner Gordon, who's the only interesting character who got a one-shot, and find out that it's halfway through the fucking thing, you then get to go back and read what happened beforehand, because there's no logic in knowing which one to start with.
And, I've got to be honest with you. Yes, it's been a month. I still don't remember anything that's happened in any of these 3 books. I don't know why any of it was relevant to Batman Incorporated #1.
Honestly, the major thing I took away from all these books was Batman having his little revelation about each character. How important Jim Gordon is. How much respect he now has for Catwoman. What a flaming tool bag. Ra's al Ghul. No, the whole thing with Ra's al Ghul was his slow revelation that he forgot a guy who used to be a giant pain in his ass in Napoleon, France.
And what about the actual return? The one shot that barely counted.
Yeah. What happened in it? Before you open it, what happened in it?
I'm going to tell you. He came back, and he had long conversations about what things may happen, and absolutely nothing occurred.
Right.
It was just talking. Moods, lots of moody pictures, a bunch of reflection, a bunch of planning, and some bizarro fucking Arabian potential Batman guy.
Batman singing in the dead of night.
Did not, unless this thing proves to be worth some dough, I'll eventually get rid of this thing happily.
Which one?
Batman the Return. So what?
Yeesh.
That's what I came out of that book thinking. So what? Oh, I forgot there was so much of that stuff in Brotherhood of the Wolf.
That can happen. But no, obviously you're not going to get rid of it because as close as you can come to completion of Batman is your major interest in life. And Nookie.
Would you stop ruining my directive statements?
I think this says a lot that a Batman fan of your level is annoyed by this much Batman.
Yeah.
Something is not going well in this book.
Nope. And that's my point.
It's not like it's me. We're like, I won't read it. I bought maybe 7 Batman new. I pick up Batman when an author or an artist I like. Or if a villain I particularly enjoy. Like, when you got my collection, the main thing that you were excited about in my Batman is not the amazing range of them, but they were all relatively cool storylines or at least interesting villains.
Right.
Because there are very few randoms because I don't go there.
Right.
So for me to be fed up with this, whatever. But for you to actually you're pissing me off, Batman. It's like slapping your own mother in your case.
I am not happy that I'm not happy. And that seems redundant, but I'm ready for him to just have some fucking adventures. Just go fight somebody.
Beat a dude up and knock the shit off.
Yeah. But what about Confidential now? The whole superpowers thing with the flashbacks to Silver Age style JLA adventures.
And the weird Martian thing and the people. Didn't this feel like an old school Jim Aparo or Neil Adams?
It totally did. And that's why I enjoyed it. Guggenheim's got a good idea of what he's doing with, non-continuity Batman.
I didn't overly care for it. I didn't dislike it in any way, but Confidential just hasn't been hitting that high, really fun storyline for me in some time.
Yeah, it's been getting a little heavy, and it's been getting heavy on the concept and
Weak
light on the execution. Yeah.
I just want a nice, fun, decent story. I want it to be the fun side book.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, there are going to be some dark ones, but I want them to be fun, too. To me, Confidential should be closer to... What the hell was the book with McKeever and, where did... What was the old school Batman book that used to alternate storylines all the time?
There was 2 of them. There was Legends
Shadow
of the
of the
Dark
Bat.
Knight and Shadow of the Bat. Legends of the Dark Knight was the far better book.
Yeah, well, I mean, Shadow of the Bat was basically a newer variation on the same. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
That was the book. Those were the kind of stories I enjoyed, were those randoms as much as anything else.
So that leaves us here with Detective, which seems to be
The Dick Bat book.
a very peculiar start to a storyline.
And how do you mean
It
that?
seems to start with Killer Croc tearing off the hand of a random person in a river or pool or something. I don't know what happened here. Don't know. Tony Daniels can bite it. I don't like what I so totally don't like what he does with Batman, be it Dick or Bruce. He hasn't done a whole lot of Bruce, but you know, what are you gonna do? That's some very interesting imagery in there that I had forgotten all about because I haven't seen this movie in 5 years.
It was a great film the first time you saw it, though.
Oh, yeah. Now, here's the thing. Batwoman 0.
All right.
Is it Dick following her around and checking her out and deciding whether he's going to approve of her activities, or is it Bruce?
My impression was that it was Bruce.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. But I like that he does, in fact, approve of her to a degree. Because she's all about what he's always been all about. Going out, fighting fucking crime. Something happens on the street, some innocent schmuck is being screwed with, and they go and correct it. That's been my whole thrust this entire time. Show me some adventures about crime.
Okay, here's my problem with that.
Yeah?
Because Batwoman is basically Huntress 2.0. So you can have the crime aspect, you can introduce your own villains and whatnot, but if you don't build an interesting character and backstory, I mean, how many times have you seen a Huntress #1 and not given a rat's ass?
But I thought they did fine with that in Detective when she was in charge.
Yeah, but you know what? First off, that was that whole sister storyline. The art was the amazing aspect, and the story was getting annoying, as we both agreed by the end of it.
After a while.
Which now it has its own book, so how much more annoying can it get that?
But that was the main plot, however. The actual backstory of her and her motivations was just fine. There was nothing wrong with that at all.
What's her backstory?
Her backstory is that she's a gay woman who was kicked out of the military academy.
Right.
And now she still wants to affect change. She just knows she can't do it on the scale that the military allows now, so she goes out on the streets.
With her father, who she then falls out with because of her mother and her evil sister, who she thought was dead and now is a supervillain in charge of a weird crime cult.
That veers back toward the main plot again.
But this is the character. I understand what you're saying, that you might enjoy the occasional aspect of this woman beating somebody up. But then you don't enjoy Huntress doing it.
Because Huntress is an irritating character to begin with.
Yeah, but Batwoman is not that much better.
We don't have enough yet to be certain of that.
It's not that hard to go quickly into disliking Huntress. So I'm not anti this book, but I don't entirely trust it at this point either. The art was amazing, but it was overly pretentious by the end of it, the book as a whole. And I couldn't wait for Batman. What started me being, oh my god, Batwoman is amazing, I don't miss Batman at all, became, holy crap, shut up and stop beating up crime cultists. And stop saying crime cult.
They only really gave us one story arc with her.
Fair enough, but the bitter lesbian woman, that's not good writing. Well-adjusted crime would be entering a new area here. Plus,
I really can't have a well-adjusted. I mean, who?
Booster Gold. Used to
Booster.
Be. Ted Cord.
Okay, gotcha. All right, you got me. You got me on that one. You got me. Ted Cord, right there. I think we'll call it even on that score.
So I want to share my Batman movie revelation.
What? Oh, yes, that's right.
See, I have something to bring finally.
Yes, let's hear it.
All right,
I'm ready.
So
let's go.
I'm watching The Dark Knight last night.
Yeah.
And here's what occurs to me about Batman films as a whole.
Right.
You know what they don't do well in any Batman movie? Think. All of them combined. All right, here's a hint. The best at it might be George Clooney.
the lighthearted Silver Age shit?
No. The implication that Bruce Wayne enjoys life.
But he doesn't.
But he implies that he does well. Like, if Batman the Crime Fighter was shitty an actor as all these actors were as being Bruce Wayne, do you really believe that Christian Bale is having a good time anytime you see him on screen?
No.
Did you when Michael Keaton?
Oh, God, no.
Val Kilmer?
He edged closer.
So the highlight of this might actually be, shockingly enough, George Clooney. But Batman is supposed to be believable as himself. Like, that's... Bruce Wayne is horrifying. There's this sad pathos that doesn't exist. Bruce Wayne bangs supermodels, drinks heavily, goes to the cool parties, was probably in Paris Hilton's Rolodex, and Paris Hilton. And the film just is like, oh, but he's actually filled with pathos. No! I mean, yes, but not obviously.
I get it. I follow you.
And they really don't. It's Batman should be like, woo, woo. Fist pumping Bruce Wayne. It should be out there. And they obviously they make it as fake as possible because then you know Bruce Wayne isn't really enjoying himself. But anybody in any of those rooms is like, wow, Bruce isn't happy. It's like that Playboy life is too hard for him and he wants something bigger and more meaningful. But duh. Go back and look, dude. It's horrifying.
Oh, I've got entirely new glasses to see these movies with. Thank you.
Who
You
the
schmuck.
I bring something to the table every goddamn podcast, kids. Also, Goblinita, Goblinita.
That was for you, Jay. Alright, kids. I think we've had enough
Fist pumping Batman.
For one night. Enjoy yourselves. Have and
A holly jolly Christmas.
yes, that too. Even
Bless yourself, fuckers. Get away from my
weeks
sockets.
late at this point. What? No.
Please get away from my sockets.
That's better. Bye.
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. You can find us on iTunes, Podcast Alley, Facebook, Comic Space, our own site, www.themeangeek.com. Subscribe to us through RSS, and most importantly, find us as a proud member on the Comics Podcast Network. Contact us directly through email at themeanergeek@gmail.com.